Ever get that nagging feeling that something's missing? Like there should be more to life, a deeper meaning to it all? Well, today we're diving into a pretty wild idea from Carl Jung. What if the key to finding your life's purpose is actually hidden in your own dark side?
And this quote from Jung really just sets the whole stage, doesn't it? He's saying our job here isn't just to, well, be here. It's to actively create meaning, to kindle a light. So the big question is, how do we do that? Where do we find the flint and steel? That's what we're going to figure out.
You know how it is. You look at these incredible people, Einstein, Mandela, you name it, and their lives just seem overflowing with purpose. And then you look at your own life and, yeah, it's easy to feel kind of small, right? Inadequate. But here's Jung's big revolutionary idea. Maybe we're all just looking in the completely wrong place. He argued that true purpose isn't about what you do, it's about who you become.
All right, so here's the plan for today. We're going to start with this thing called the purpose paradox. Then we'll walk through 4 key steps: meeting your shadow, integrating that darkness, actively creating meaning, and finally, learning how to embrace the struggle.
So let's get into this first big idea, the purpose paradox. This is really the core shift in thinking that Carl Jung brought to the table. He said, look, purpose isn't some universal checklist you have to complete. It's not about racking up achievements. Instead, it's something deeply personal, totally unique to you. And the only way to find it is to look inward, not outward. Okay, on to step 1, meet your shadow. And this Jung quote is everything. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. It's so powerful, right? If you want to find your purpose, you have to get to know yourself. And I mean really know yourself. Not just the shiny, happy parts, but the stuff you've hidden away. This is where the real work, what Jung called self-realization, actually begins.
So to get our heads around this, we need a super quick map of the mind according to Jung. He used the word psyche to describe, well, the whole shebang. It's the entirety of you, your conscious mind, and, crucially, all the unconscious stuff you're not even aware of.
Now, the most visible part of your psyche is what he called the persona. Just think of it like your social media profile, but for real life. It's the mask you wear to be liked, to fit in at work, with your friends. It's the polished version of you that you want the world to see. Okay, but here's where it gets interesting. Beneath that shiny persona is something Jung called the shadow. And honestly, this is where the real treasure is buried. The shadow is like a bag we carry around, and we stuff it with all the parts of ourselves we don't like. Our anger, our jealousy, our laziness. We think they're ugly or unacceptable, so we just shove them down deep and pretend they're not there. So, how in the world do you find something you've deliberately hidden from yourself? Well, Jung gave us a major clue. It's called projection. Think about it. Is there someone who just drives you crazy? That one person whose behavior gets under your skin like nothing else? Jung would say that intense reaction is a massive signpost. You're probably seeing a part of your own shadow that you've rejected playing out right in front of you.
Getting to know your shadow isn't a one-and-done kind of deal. It's an ongoing practice, and it's called shadow work. This means getting brutally honest with yourself. Things like journaling or meditation can really help, but it's mostly about asking yourself tough questions, you know? Why did I snap like that? Was I being my real self in that conversation? What did my gut tell me to do before I overthought it?
All right, so you've shaken hands with your shadow. Now what do? The temptation is to try and get rid of it, right? To destroy it, but that's not the goal at all. Jung's quote here says it all. I don't aspire to be a good man, I aspire to be a whole man. The point isn't perfection, it's wholeness. And wholeness means accepting all of you.
And this is a perfect way to see the difference. When you try to repress those traits, push them down, they don't go away. They just gain more power over you. They fester, and eventually they explode as an angry outburst, or maybe they just lead to total burnout. But when you integrate them, you're back in the driver's seat. You acknowledge them, and that repressed energy suddenly becomes a tool you can actually use.
Let's make this super concrete. Take anger. We're taught it's bad, right? But what if that anger is the very thing you need to set a boundary or stand up for yourself when you've been wronged? Or envy. Instead of just feeling bad about it, what if it's a giant flashing sign pointing directly at what you truly want in life? It can be an incredible motivator. Even laziness. Sometimes it's not a moral failing, it's just your body screaming that it needs a break. It's all about reframing these things.
Okay, so knowing yourself is amazing, but it's only half the battle.
All this self-knowledge is pretty much useless until you actually do something with it. And that brings us to step 3, actively create meaning. As Jung said, you are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Purpose isn't something you think about, it's something you build, action by action.
Think about it. So many of us live in reactive mode. We're just waiting for things to happen to us. You're waiting for inspiration to strike, waiting for that promotion to fall in your lap, waiting for the right person to come along. Active living is the total opposite. It's you deciding, this is what I want, and then taking the first step and the next to make it happen. That's where a meaningful life comes from.
Let's use an aspiring author as an example. The reactive writer waits for the muse to show up. The active writer, they make a writing schedule and stick to it, even when they don't feel like it. They're not afraid to ask for help when they get stuck. They use discipline to finish the story, and then they're the ones proactively sending it out to agents. One waits, the other does. So if active living is the key, why isn't everyone doing it? Well, there's one giant roadblock, isn't there? Fear. Taking action is scary. It involves risk, and that leads us right into our final step. Embrace the struggle. You have to learn to work with your fear because, as Jung put it, where your fear is, there is your task. Your fear is basically pointing you where you need to go.
And this is such a critical mind shift. We have this idea that brave people just don't feel fear. That's totally wrong. No way. Brave people are often the most scared people in the room. The only difference is they don't let that fear sit in the driver's seat. They feel it, they acknowledge it, and then they act anyway. So, what's the game plan for handling fear? Here's a quick playbook. First, don't ignore it. Acknowledge it. Then, get really specific. What exactly are you afraid of? Write it down. Plan for what might realistically go wrong, but stop yourself from spiraling into those crazy worst-case scenario fantasies. And then, you just have to take the leap. Seriously, action is the only real cure for fear. And you have to remember this. Struggle and sadness and even failure, they are not signs that you've screwed up or that you're on the wrong path. They're actually part of the deal. They are necessary for a meaningful life. Jung says it perfectly here. You can't appreciate happiness without sadness. You just can't have the light without the dark.
And that really brings us to the biggest takeaway of all. The purpose of your life isn't actually in the final achievement. Whether your book becomes a bestseller or you get that big promotion, that's not it. The real purpose, the real meaning, is found in who you become along the way. The person who was brave enough to try. The person who faced their fears, who integrated their whole self. That person is the prize.
So, let's just end with this one powerful question. Think of it as a challenge, directly from Jung's work to you, right now. If your fear truly is a compass, pointing you toward your next great task, take a deep breath and ask yourself, where is it pointing you right now?